Hello friends, happy end of January. It is the longest month of the year. We made it to the end. At the time of filming this, it's the 30th of January. I feel like this month has gone on forever, so I'm really glad to see the back of it, and I am so sick of being cold all the time. I'm really ready for the days to start getting longer and for it to start getting a bit warmer. I am going today to do a end of the month wrap up video. Now, I always say when I do these, I might try and do these more and never do. So this might be the only wrap up video I do this year. This month I did quite well. I read 4 books, 2 of which are quite chunky, so I'm quite proud of myself. So we are just going to go in order of which books I read and what I thought of them. The first book I read this month was one I got at Youck last year. It was a proof that I was very kindly given and I cried when I got it, and that is A Tempest of Tea. Oh my god. I don't even know where to begin with this book. There is a blog post I wrote about this book on my website, so I'll put the link to that in the description if you'd like to read about it there. This book is written by Hafsa Faizal, who wrote We Hunt the Flame, which I haven't actually read yet. It is along here somewhere. It is on my radar and I do really want to read it, but I just keep reading other books, so I will get to it. But I really like her writing style in this book. I think the way she writes is really flowy and beautiful and descriptive. She kind of has that flowery writing style that is so popular at the moment, but she's used it in a way that's really effective. So actually it doesn't detract from the story or take away from the book, but it only elevates it and adds to it. So for this book, just think Peaky Blinders meets vampires, and then you've got the book. Kind of Six Crow vibes. There's a heist, there's a tea shop, there's vampires. It's epic, it's incredible. I love all of the characters. There's kind of this like mischievous gang of characters who all come together and they make their own little found family. One of my favourite book tropes ever, and just the way it's written is so fast paced, so gripping, so immersive that I was completely sucked into this world. Gorgeous writing style, characters you can't help but love. They're also badass. It's a fantastic read and I was hooked from start to finish, and I don't know if I consumed this book or if it consumed me, because it is now living rent-free in my head as it should be. This book is out next month in February on the 20th, I believe, and I cannot wait to read it again when it is out because it was so good. Please, if you take anything out of this video, take out the fact that this is a fantastic read and you should definitely pick this up this year. This is the first book I read this year, and when I finished it I was like, the bar has been set so high, how the hell is anything going to top this year? So what an amazing book to start the year with, but I've also kind of shot myself in the foot because now, like, how is anything going to follow that? So yes, first book of the year was A Tempest of Tea. Absolutely brilliant. The next book I read after A Tempest of Tea was This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. This is an arc that my friend Maddie very kindly gifted to me because she got it and I love Tahira Mafi, so she gave me her arc after she was finished with it. I read this with my friend Leanne because we have a little ritual where we pick books that we both have that want to read and just read them and chat about them. It was good. I love Tahira Mafi's contemporaries. I think they are amazing. They are some of my favourite contemporaries to pick up. I read Shatter Me and 15-year-old me would have loved it. Me now did not love it. I really loved the premise of this, and when I did pick it up and start reading, I did love it. But I did find myself struggling to pick it up to keep reading because it was just very, very slow. Once it got to the plot and it started moving a bit quicker, I did completely adore it. I thought that the ending was insane and I wasn't going to read book 2 because I didn't really care enough. And then I got to the end of book 1 and I was like, well, now I have to read book 2. It was really, really epic conclusion. It just took a long time to get there. I think there was a lot of this book that could have been cut out and you would have still had the same story. But at the end of the day, it was a good book and I did really like the world building, and the characters, once you got to know them, were really lovable. So there was a lot going for this book. It was just very slow paced. So although I love Tahira Mafi as an author, I think I'm liking her contemporaries more than her fantasies. So we'll see how books 2 and 3 go with this one. Book 1 was, I would say, maybe a 3.5 star out of 5. The next book I read was A Little Life. It's a really hard book for me to explain, I think, because it is so harrowing and heartbreaking and awful, but at the same time there's these little pockets of happiness throughout it, and it's about kind of finding a family, not by blood, but with people that come into your lives. They become your family. It's really hard to put this book into words. If you've read it, you'll know what I mean. And the stage play came to London last year. I I thought it was incredible. It was a really good representation of the book. It was a really good adaptation. I do think they kind of stripped away the few happy moments in the book and left it mainly just harsh traumatic moments, which I do think is a bit of choice. But I guess with a 2.5 hour play, there's only so many things you can keep in. So out of all of it, the happy stuff is the stuff that gets cut. But with the play coming back to London, I wanted to reread the book and annotate it. I annotated it the first time I read it, just highlighting quotes I like. But I wanted to go back and annotate it with like the various characters and foreshadowing and things like that, which is what I've done now. I started that reread and annotation way back in like July last year. But the thing is with Little Life is you've got to really look after yourself when reading it, because it is so heavy and traumatic. So if you're in any kind of negative headspace, I would severely recommend either not reading this or waiting until you're in a better headspace before you do start reading it and then taking it really slow, which is what I ended up doing. So I started rereading and annotating it, and I just had to keep on pausing and then picking it back up when I felt a bit better and in a better headspace to kind of handle the content of the book, which is why it took me so long. But I did finish it in January, finished my annotation and reread, and yeah, that was book 3, A Little Life. And then the final book I read this month was The Front Desk. This is a book about a girl who has moved to America with her mum and dad from China. It's about them setting up their life in the USA. They start working at a motel, so her parents and her all live in the motel that is run by their manager. So they live there, and it's basically about how they are acclimatizing, about her finding her friends, about her finding her feet, about how she kind of comes across people who aren't too nice to her because she is an immigrant. It's about her parents' struggles, and there's a lot of found family in here, and it's about other immigrants and how they'll help each other, and it's just a really gorgeous middle grade book. I thought it was really lovely. I thought it was a really sweet way of educating kids on immigration and kind of being kind of compassionate to each other, because you never know what other people's lifestyles are like or what they've been through. It never once felt preachy. It just felt like a very natural story and a very lovely, heartwarming story. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really lovely, and it was a really nice, quick and easy read to end the month on. And that is all the books I read in January. Considering that my reading is kind of up and down, starting the month with 4 books, 1 5-star read is a really good kickstart for the year for me. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.